He proposed with a $10,000 ring. Then I got a credit alert for $10,450 in my name. The diamond was heavy. That was the first thing I noticed when I woke up. It had a physical weight to it, a platinum anchor dragging my left hand into the mattress. I lifted my arm, catching the slice of morning sun filtering through the blinds, and watched the stone fracture the light into a dozen tiny rainbows on the ceiling. It was perfect. It was massive. It was the kind of ring you see in movies, not on the finger of a marketing coordinator living in a rented townhouse. I rolled over, smiling so hard my cheeks hurt. The events of last night replayed in my head like a highlight reel. The private room at the Gilded Steer. The violinist playing, Can't Help Falling in Love. The way Mark's hands shook when he opened the velvet box. The champagne toast. The way he looked at me and said, "Emma, you are my future." I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. The Instagram notification bubble was a solid red dot with 99+ inside it. My post from last night, a close-up of the ring with the caption, "I'm marrying my best friend," had blown up. Likes, comments, DMs from high school friends I hadn't spoken to in a decade. Everyone loved love. Everyone loved a rock the size of a grape. I felt safe. I felt chosen. For 3 years, Mark had been the steady one. The planner. The guy who reminded me to get my oil changed and held my hair back when I had the flu. We were a team. Then, my phone buzzed. It wasn't a like. It wasn't a text from my mom. It was a push notification from Credit Karma. New account opened, Zales Jewelers credit card. Current balance, $10,450. I stared at the screen. My brain, still foggy with sleep and leftover champagne, tried to process the words. I blinked, waiting for the notification to disappear, assuming it was a glitch. A phishing attempt. A mistake. I tapped the app. It opened with a cheerful green loading bar. Changes to your credit report detected. I scrolled down. There it was. A new trade line. Opened yesterday, February 14th. Creditor, Comenity Capital/Sales. Limit, $11,000. Balance, $10,450. I sat up. The duvet fell away, and suddenly the room felt freezing. I didn't apply for a jewelry card. I haven't applied for credit in 2 years since I bought my Honda. I clicked on the Account Details tab. Applicant name, Emma Stone. Applicant SSN, XXXX, matched. Applicant DOB, June 12, 1996, matched. Current address, my address. Everything matched. My identity. My credit history. And then I saw the contact information linked to the application. Email, mark.stevens88@gmail.com. The air left my lungs in a single, sharp whoosh. I read it again. Mark's email. Not mine. I looked at the ring on my finger. The rainbows on the ceiling suddenly looked like warning flares. He didn't save for the ring. He didn't work overtime for months like he said he did. He didn't sell his motorcycle to invest in us. He walked into a jewelry store, used my social security number, which he knew because we filed taxes together last year, and opened a credit card in my name to buy a ring for me. He proposed to me with my own debt. I felt a wave of nausea roll over me. It was a physical punch to the gut. I looked at the bathroom door. I could hear the shower running. Mark was in there, singing. He was singing in the shower while I sat here realizing that my best friend had just committed a felony against me. I stood up. My legs felt watery. I walked into the living room, needing space, needing air. I sat on the edge of the sofa and opened the full credit report. If he did this, what else did he do? I scrolled. My thumb was shaking. Inquiry, Wells Fargo personal loan. Date, February 14th. Status, denied. Inquiry, Pottery Barn financing. Date, February 14th. Status, denied. He hadn't just bought the ring. He had tried to take out a loan. He had tried to finance furniture. He went on a spending spree with my identity on Valentine's Day, and the only reason he stopped was because the other bank said no. The shower turned off. The singing stopped. Babe? Mark's voice called out from the bedroom. You up? I'm making waffles. He walked into the living room a moment later, a towel wrapped around his waist, water dripping from his hair. He looked fresh. He looked happy. He looked like a man who had gotten away with it. Morning, fiancé, he grinned, leaning down to kiss me. I turned my head. His lips hit my cheek. He pulled back, frowning. What's wrong? You okay? Too much champagne? I held up my phone. The screen was bright in the dim room. Did you open a Zales credit card yesterday? I asked. My voice was quiet. It didn't sound like my voice. It sounded like a stranger's. Mark looked at the phone. He didn't flinch. He didn't look guilty. He smiled. A calm, reassuring, gaslighting smile. Oh, you saw that, he said, rubbing his wet hair with the towel. Yeah, the alert must have come through fast. Technology, right? You opened a credit card, I repeated, staring at him. In my name. Yeah, he said casually, walking toward the kitchen. I financed the ring. It's a great deal, actually. 0% interest for 12 months if we pay it off. I wanted to get you the big rock, Em. You deserve the best. In my name, I said again, louder this time. Mark, you used my social security number. You signed my name. He stopped at the fridge and pulled out the orange juice. He turned around, leaning against the counter, looking relaxed. Well, yeah. My credit is a little shot from that student loan thing, remember? Your score is like 800. It just made sense. It ensured we got the approval. You didn't ask me, I said. You stole my identity. Mark rolled his eyes. He actually rolled his eyes. Stole? Come on, Emma. Don't be dramatic. We're getting married. What's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. We're a team now. It's basically our credit. We aren't married yet. I shouted, standing up. And even if we were, you can't sign legal documents as me. That is fraud, Mark. That is $10,000 of debt you just strapped to my back without even a conversation. It was a surprise, he snapped, his tone shifting from casual to annoyed. If I told you, it wouldn't be a proposal. It would be a financial meeting. I was trying to be romantic. I was trying to give you the moment you wanted. I wanted a partner. I yelled. Not a credit inquiry. You tried to get a personal loan too. And furniture? I was trying to set us up, he yelled back, slamming the orange juice carton onto the counter. I wanted to get a new couch for the place before the wedding. I wanted to consolidate some bills. I am trying to build a life here, Emma, and you're acting like I robbed a bank. You robbed me. I utilized our resources, he got in my face, pointing a finger at me. You have the credit. I have the income potential. We leverage what we have. That's what marriage is. If you can't handle sharing, maybe you aren't ready for this. I stared at him. The gaslighting was so thick I could taste it. He was turning his felony into my failure. He was making me the bad guy for not wanting to be a victim of identity theft. You forged my signature, I whispered. I signed a pad, he shrugged. It's digital. It doesn't matter. Look, are you going to keep screaming, or are we going to have waffles? Because I have a tea time at noon. He turned back to the stove. He poured batter into the waffle iron. He wasn't scared. He wasn't sorry. He felt entitled to my credit score. He viewed me as a resource to be harvested. I looked at the ring. It felt like a handcuff. I'm going for a drive, I said. Fine, he grunted. Get coffee while you're out. We're out of pods. I grabbed my purse. I grabbed my keys. I walked out the front door. I got into my car, my hands shaking so hard I couldn't get the key in the ignition on the first try. I sat there, breathing in the cold air of the garage, looking at the door to the house. I knew what I had to do. But I needed to be sure. I needed to see it with my own eyes. I drove to the mall. I drove to Zales. The mall was quiet. It was 10 a.m. on February 15th. The post-Valentine's lull. The jewelry store was empty except for a woman polishing the glass cases and a security guard checking his phone. I walked in. I was wearing sweatpants and a hoodie. I wasn't wearing the ring. It was in my pocket. Hi there, the saleswoman smiled. Here to get something resized? I need to speak to a manager, I said. My voice was steady, steel reinforced. Immediately. The woman's smile faltered. Is there a problem? There is a $10,000 problem on my credit report, I said. She called the manager. A man named David came out from the back, wearing a suit that was slightly too shiny. How can I help you, miss? My name is Emma, last name, I said. Yesterday, at 3:17 p.m., a credit account was opened in my name at this location. A purchase of $10,450 was made. I did not authorize this. I was not here. David frowned. He typed my name into the terminal. I see the transaction, he said. A Mr. Mark Stevens was the customer. He is listed as an authorized user on the application. He listed himself, I corrected. I did not list him. I was at work yesterday at 3:17 p.m. I can prove it. David turned the screen slightly. He provided a social security number. He provided a driver's license number. He provided my numbers, I said. Did you see my ID? Did the person standing in front of you look like a 28-year-old woman named Emma? David looked uncomfortable. He shifted his weight. Well, he said he was your fiancé. He said he was picking it up as a surprise. In cases like that, if they have all the info, we sometimes process it as a joint application if he claims verbal consent. He claimed verbal consent? He said you were on the phone, the saleswoman chimed in from the counter. I remember him. He was charming. He was on his cell phone, laughing. He said, she says go for the bigger one, babe, and then gave a thumbs up. He told us you were stuck at work and gave him the info to run it. I wasn't on the phone, I said. I was in a meeting. And he didn't have my permission. I reached into my pocket. I pulled out the ring. This is the ring, right? David looked at it. That's the one. The Leo Diamond Artisan. I am returning it, I said. Process the return. Close the account. Now. I can't just close the account without the cardholder present, David stammered. The card was issued to him as an authorized user. The account is in my name. I slammed my hand on the glass. It is my credit. He committed fraud. Look at the cameras. Ma'am, please lower your voice, the guard stepped forward. Call the police, I said. Do it. Call them. Because if you don't, I will. And I will tell them that your store facilitated identity theft because a guy was charming. David went pale. I'll pull the footage. He went into the back office. 10 minutes passed. I stood there, staring at the rows of diamonds, feeling sick. Every glittering stone represented another potential victim of a guy like Mark. David came back. He looked shaken. We reviewed the tape, he said quietly. He filled out the application on the kiosk. He looked at a piece of paper from his pocket for the SSN. He didn't have your ID card. My associate, She overrode the ID requirement because the system flagged it as a high-value transaction, and we wanted the sale. He looked at the saleswoman. She looked at the floor. That's a violation of federal lending laws, I said. I know, David said. We are going to process the return immediately. We will void the transaction. The debt will be erased. And the inquiry? I asked. The hard pull on my credit? You'll have to dispute that with the bureau, David said. But we will provide a letter stating the account was opened fraudulently. He typed. He printed a receipt. Refund, $10,450. Account closed. I took the receipt. I left the ring on the counter. One more thing, I said. I need a copy of that footage. Or at least, the police will. We will cooperate with law enforcement, David said. I walked out of the mall. I felt lighter, but the fire in my chest hadn't gone out. It had only gotten hotter. He had charmed them. He had faked a phone call with me. He had premeditated every second of it. This wasn't an impulsive mistake. This was a heist. I sat in my car. I looked at the police station across the street from the mall. Mark said we were a team. He said marriage was about sharing. Well, I was about to share the consequences. I walked into the precinct. I asked to file a report for identity theft. Officer Miller, a guy who looked like he'd seen everything and was impressed by none of it, took my statement. Boyfriend? He asked, writing in his notebook. Fiancé, I said. As of last night. And he used your SSN? Yes. And tried to get a loan. And furniture. Do you have proof? I handed him the Credit Karma screenshots. I handed him the receipt from Zales marked fraudulent return. I told him about the video footage at the store. Miller stopped writing. He looked at me. Ma'am, you understand that if we pursue this, it's a felony? In this state, identity theft over $2,000 is a Class D felony. He will be arrested. He will have a record. This isn't a civil dispute. I understand, I said. He won't be able to work in finance, Miller said. Or anything requiring a background check. You sure you want to go this route? Usually, couples work this out. He isn't my couple, I said. He's a thief who sleeps in my bed. Press charges. Okay, Miller closed the notebook. Where is he now? He's at home, I said. Making waffles. We'll send a unit. I drove home. I parked down the street. I didn't want to be inside when it happened. I wanted to watch, but I didn't want to be in the blast radius. 20 minutes later, a cruiser pulled up. 2 officers walked to my front door. I watched from my rearview mirror. Mark answered the door. He was still wearing the towel. He looked confused. He pointed to the driveway, probably asking where I was. The officers spoke to him. Mark laughed. He waved his hand dismissively. He thought he could charm them too. Then, the officer reached for his belt. He pulled out the handcuffs. Mark stepped back. He tried to close the door. The second officer blocked it with his boot. They grabbed Mark. They spun him around. The towel slipped. I watched my fiancé, naked and handcuffed, being marched down my front walk in the middle of a Sunday morning. They put him in the back of the car. They drove away. I waited until they were gone. Then I drove into my driveway. I walked into the house. The waffle iron was still on. The batter had burned, filling the kitchen with the smell of char. I unplugged it. I walked to the bedroom. I packed his bag. I didn't pack everything. Just enough for jail. A change of clothes. His wallet. I found his phone on the nightstand. It was unlocked. I opened Instagram. My post was still up. 500 likes. I clicked edit. I deleted the caption about marrying my best friend. I typed, "Update, turns out I financed my own engagement ring." He stole my identity, opened a credit card in my name, and bought the ring with my credit score. Charges have been reversed. So has the engagement. He was just arrested for felony identity fraud. Ladies, check your credit karma. Love shouldn't require a credit freeze. I attached the screenshot of the Zales alert. I hit post. Then I tagged him. I sat on the bed and watched the comments roll in. Friend 1, OMG Emma. Cousin, is this real? His mom, call me immediately. I didn't answer his mom. I called a locksmith. I need the locks changed, I told the dispatcher. Today. Emergency rate. Lost keys? No, I said. Stolen life. Mark spent 2 days in holding. His bail was set at $25,000. His parents paid it. When he got out, he lost his job. His employer saw the post, it went viral locally. Integrity violation, they called it. You can't work in sales with a pending fraud felony. He tried to contact me. He sent emails begging, screaming, threatening. You ruined my life. It was just a credit card. We could have paid it off. I forwarded every email to the district attorney. Witness intimidation, I labeled them. My credit score dipped for a month because of the hard inquiry, but the fraud alert removed the account. I froze my credit at all 3 bureaus. I'm sitting in my living room now. It's quiet. The spot on the rug where he used to put his feet is empty. The police returned the ring box as evidence after they processed it for prints. It's sitting on the coffee table. Empty. I opened it. I took a sticky note. I wrote, balance, $0. I stuck it inside. Mark wanted to leverage our future. He wanted to build a life on a foundation of debt and deception, using my name as the collateral. He forgot that when you steal someone's identity, you don't just take their credit score. You take their trust. And trust is the one thing you can't finance. So, tell me. Am I the monster for sending my fiancé to prison and destroying his reputation over a credit card, or did he just get declined for the loan he took out on my life?
If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss another story like this.